Hey YouTube, Flocat here. As a gamer who fell in love with MMORPGs in the early 2000s, I got my start, like many others, with RuneScape and MapleStory. And so now that I'm significantly older, as are the games, I'd like to go back and replay them and rediscover why I fell in love with MMORPGs in the first place. So that is what this journey is all about. When I was young, I actually stuck with RuneScape instead of MapleStory, and so this time around I figured I would start with MapleStory and jump in and experience the world and the game and see how it has grown over the years. And I gotta tell you straight off the bat, I'm pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect to enjoy MapleStory in its modern iteration as much as I have, and there are a number of reasons for that, which I will get into in this video. The most obvious thing is that there's a lot of content, like a lot. There's a lot of bosses, there's a lot of classes, there's a housing system, there's pets, there's cosmetics, there's events, there's there's so much content. There's basically an endless list of tasks for you to do other than just farming for your account. And I will admit that this has been pretty overwhelming for someone jumping in with a new account in MapleStory in 2023. I picked a Thunderbreaker because I thought they looked super cool, being a pirate that punches people with sharks. And I gotta tell you, I am having a blast playing that specific class, the Thunderbreaker. And I'm having a lot of fun running around beating people up with visages of oceanic creatures. But since I created my account during the current patch, my first character is hyperburning, which is fantastic because it means that I gain like 3 levels every time I level up, all the way up to level 250. But that also means that I've been leveling up so fast that I've had to skip like, I think probably 90% of the quests in the game. I just blasted through the first 100 levels, and then the next 100 levels were a little bit slower, but things didn't really slow down until like 200. And while that's been great for getting my account established, it's also been really confusing because I blew past a lot of boss prerequisite quests. Like I've had to go back and complete quests to unlock bosses. I missed certain tutorial quests. The story got a little confusing for me because I like launched forward past where I had seen previously, like in the intro of the game. And there have been a myriad of other things that have been kind of confusing about jumping in to a game so full of content. But honestly, that feels sort of like a first world problem kind of thing, like, oh no, my MMORPG has so much content that I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I guess that's really not much to complain about when you think about it. It just kind of means that you gotta be willing to learn a lot about the game, to do a bunch of different quests, and to have the patience to kind of get settled into the experience of what it's like to play MapleStory in this day and age. And that's exactly what I have been doing. I have been questing and farming and bossing and doing all of these wonderful things, putting furniture in a home that I can exist in. It's a great time. But yeah, I'd like to just highlight some of the good things that I've noticed about MapleStory here in 2023. The first thing I will bring up is something that I have been kind of frustrated with MMORPGs lately. In MapleStory, your progression is not gated entirely by dailies and weeklies. While you're playing the game, you can just decide to go out into the field and farm monsters for EXP, resources, and there are so many different activities and things to do in the game that you will hardly ever feel like you are at a loss for ways to move your account forward. A lot of the progression systems in MapleStory stack on top of each other, so you can kind of choose in what order you want to take them in. For instance, you could start out by building your account up with a bunch of different alts so that you have link skills and legion skills, which are passive buffs that you get for having alternate characters on your account. This can boost the power of your main by like a lot. And that's just one example of quite a few different progression systems that are in the game that you can take advantage of at any time to make your main or your account better or stronger. But yeah, not to ramble on too long on this point, I just feel like lately a lot of MMORPGs or games in general have a tendency to gate progression in a very obvious, unrewarding way that leaves you feeling very unfulfilled after doing your dailies, and then also feeling like there's nothing else you can do to push your account forward other than wait for the daily reset or weekly reset. But that is absolutely not the case in MapleStory. You can just create another character and start building them up, or you could just go out into the field like I said and farm, or you could just, I mean, there's so many different things to do, and this is kind of the point that I'm getting at. And not only that, those activities are pretty dang rewarding. Like I genuinely feel like when I do an activity in MapleStory, I get rewarded pretty well for doing that. The next thing that I want to bring up is, well, the actual gameplay itself, like the combat. It's an MMO where you spend a lot of time killing mobs or fighting bosses or doing stuff like that. So if the core gameplay itself is not fun or engaging or whatever, then you're not going to play the game. So how is that with MapleStory? How is the combat? How are the bosses? How is that experience? Now, I've got to admit, I think MapleStory doesn't look super exciting to play. I think the nature of the game being a side-scroller, kind of like 2D style game, you may not feel like the combat is too exciting from watching it. But when you're the one doing the stuff, playing the game, I do have to tell you, the combat is very satisfying and rewarding. There are a ton of different classes, and so there's a ton of different play styles, a ton of different difficulty levels, if you want to say that, or like some classes have to press a bunch of buttons, some classes just sit there and press one button. You kind of have the freedom to choose if you want a class that's super engaged and really button mashy, or if you want to play a class that's like super chill and just sits there with summons. There's a large variety so that I feel like everyone kind of can get the niche that they want to fill filled. And this is great in another way, because there's a lot of variety. That means that if you get bored with the particular character that you've been playing with a lot, you can simply make another character or hop on to another character, and you genuinely feel like there's a large difference in the way that the characters play. So basically, like, variety is the spice of life, and these particular spices are rather spicy. Anyway, on to the last and most important point, which is the social aspect of the game. This might be a surprise for you, but MMORPGs are social games. It is a game where you are sharing an online world with other people, and you exist in this world together. The common trend with modern MMO development is to make the game as easily accessible as possible for the solo experience, while allowing for party play sometimes. This has overall decreased the value of party play in MMORPGs and relegated it basically to like a side task kind of thing. That, combined with party finders and other kinds of things to like matchmake for dungeons or bosses, has really decreased the value of interacting with people in an MMORPG. I would say that it's even gotten to the point that most people playing an MMO feel like the other people around them are sort of just like wastes of space, or just like they're there just to be there. And now I have to admit, I have heard that party play has gotten less important over time in MapleStory, and that makes sense as it follows with the specific trend that I was just talking about, where developers have focused more on the solo experience of MMOs. And while that might be the case, party play is still incredibly important for MapleStory. This is kind of sad to have to admit, but I was pleasantly surprised when I had a nice interaction with a random person on MapleStory. Like, being totally honest with you, that hasn't happened in years. As a matter of fact, for the almost year that I've played Lost Ark and the 1,400 hours that I put into it, I can't really remember a single time that I've had a random pleasant interaction with someone. And this is something that I've noticed consistently in MapleStory. You'll see people sitting around chatting, having pleasant conversations. People will react to your presence as if you actually exist in the game with them. And guilds are actively seeking recruitment and looking for new players to fill their ranks and to engage with and chat with. Now, I can't exactly pinpoint why MapleStory has been able to retain so much more of its social aspect. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the game is kind of cutesy and probably attracts some more casual-minded people who are kind of just trying to chill, hang out, and farm a little bit on the side. It's just weird to me how, like, it's an odd thing to have a pleasant social interaction with someone on an MMORPG. That used to be the norm. That used to be what MMORPGs were all about. It was about escaping a world of hate and division, Well, that's everything I wanted to say about my experience returning to MapleStory. I'm considering making more content about the game, like more videos, more streams, that kind of thing. And if you are new to my channel, I am branching out into a variety content, so feel free to hit subscribe if you're a gamer, if you like gaming stuff, if you like MMORPGs, if you like videos, if you like people talking. And it's not just me talking. I actually have a friendly community in my Discord server full of people who play Genshin Impact, MapleStory, and a variety of other games. We would love to have you there to chat and hang out and vibe with us. So feel free to hit that link. It's in the description all the time of every video. It's usually in the pinned comment as well. Would love to see you there. And until next time, stay healthy, stay hydrated. Peace.